The stars stretched endlessly, cold and distant, outside the small observation window of the spaceship Orion's Edge. Inside, the crew huddled in silence, their faces pale under the dim emergency lights. The ship had been drifting for days, maybe weeks. Time felt meaningless here, lost among the black infinity of space. Captain Mira Lawson sat rigidly in the command chair, staring at the flickering control panels. The engines were failing, the life support system sputtering. Every crew member had known this moment might come, but knowing it and living it were two different things. The whispers of doubt floated through the cabin. "We can't go on like this," muttered Lieutenant Ryland, the navigator, his voice low, almost breaking. He rubbed his temples as if that could erase the despair. Mira didn't answer. She had to stay calm for all of them. Panic spread faster than fire in oxygen, and if the crew lost hope completely, survival would be impossible. She ran her fingers along the console, checking readings that she already knew would be bad. Fuel reserves were almost gone. Oxygen was at 50%, and they were completely alone, lost in a sector of space no human had charted. The silence pressed down on them until the sensors suddenly beeped. A high, shrill tone that cut through the gloom. Everyone jumped. Mira's heart raced. "What is it?" she demanded. "Signal." "Something," Ryland said, eyes wide. "It's faint, but it's there. Not human. Not any human tech I've ever seen." The crew gathered around the console. The signal pulsed like a heartbeat. Strange patterns flickered across the screen. It was irregular, like someone or something was trying to communicate. "Could be a trap," said Dr. Ilara, the ship's scientist. She never sounded scared, but her voice trembled slightly. "It could be a lure. We don't know what's out there." "We have nothing to lose," Mira said. She stood, her silhouette firm in the weak light. "We follow it. If this signal leads anywhere, it might be our only chance." Reluctantly, the crew activated the thrusters. The Orion's Edge moved slowly toward the origin of the signal. The stars outside shifted imperceptibly as they drifted deeper into unknown space. The air inside the cabin grew heavier with each passing minute. Hours went by. The signal grew stronger, pulsing steadily now, like a heartbeat synchronized to their own fears. Finally, the sensors revealed a shape ahead, a massive silhouette floating silently in the void. It was unlike anything the crew had ever seen. It looks abandoned," whispered Ryland. His voice barely carried. "No life signs," Dr. Ilara added, "but the energy readings are alive." Mira's fingers tightened on the console. "We dock, slowly, everyone stay alert." The Orion's Edge approached the alien vessel cautiously. Its surface was metallic but worn, etched with symbols that glowed faintly in the darkness. As they connected to the airlock, the hum of the signal seemed louder, more insistent, as if beckoning them to enter. Inside, the ship was vast and cold. Shadows stretched across the walls, twisting unnaturally. Strange technology lined the corridors, unfamiliar shapes and devices that seemed almost organic. The crew stepped carefully, weapons ready, senses heightened. "This is incredible," Ilara murmured, tracing her fingers over a panel of glowing symbols. "We don't even know what civilization made this." Suddenly, a loud metallic clang echoed through the corridor. The crew froze. Mira raised her hand to signal silence. The sound came again, closer this time. Something or someone was moving inside the ship. Ryland swallowed hard. "We're not alone," he whispered. Mira's mind raced. This was no longer about finding hope. It was survival. Whoever or whatever was here could be hostile. But she also knew one truth. Humans were stubborn. They refused to give up. Even in the cold, dark reaches of space, humanity fought. That was what made them different. That was what had kept them alive so far. They followed the signal deeper into the ship. Hallways twisted impossibly. Lights flickered and strange noises echoed in the distance. Every step felt like walking into a trap. And then they reached a massive chamber. In the center of the room hovered a glowing orb, pulsing like the heartbeat of the ship itself. The signal emanated from it, a pattern of lights and vibrations that seemed almost alive. Mira reached out, hesitant. The orb responded, its glow intensifying. Suddenly, a shadow moved behind them. A low growl reverberated through the chamber. The crew spun around, weapons raised. Eyes adjusted to the dim light, and they saw it. A figure, humanoid but not human, its form shifting as if made of smoke and metal. The crew froze. Mira felt a chill creep down her spine. They had entered alien territory, unprepared, yet strangely drawn by the promise of hope the signal had given them. And then, as quickly as it appeared, the figure vanished into the shadows. The orb pulsed one final time, brighter than ever, and then the lights went out. The ship was silent. Mira swallowed hard. This is just the beginning, she said. Her voice carried determination, but inside, she felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down. Somewhere in the endless darkness of space, humanity's spark had been found, but whether it would survive or be extinguished was still a question the stars alone could answer. The Orion's Edge floated silently next to the alien ship, tethered by a fragile docking cable. The crew's hearts still pounded from the encounter with the glowing orb and the shadowy figure. No one spoke at first. Every sound felt too loud, every breath too heavy. Captain Mira Lawson was the first to move. "We need to understand what we're dealing with," she said, her voice firm. "We can't drift here forever. If we don't act, we'll run out of fuel, oxygen, everything." Lieutenant Ryland swallowed hard and followed. "The ship? It's huge. It feels alive." Dr. Alara nodded, scanning the alien ship's surface through the viewport. "Some kind of biometal," she whispered. "The structure isn't just metal, it's part organic. It's like it grew instead of being built." The crew suited up and entered the airlock. Cold metal walls closed behind them as the docking clamps released. A faint hum filled the corridor, vibrating through their suits. The ship's interior was dim, lit by a soft, pulsating light that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The hallways were wide, tall, twisting in ways that made their stomachs turn. "Stay together," Mira ordered. "Move slowly. Watch everything." They explored cautiously. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly. Some of them shifted like living patterns, crawling across the surface as if the ship itself was aware of their presence. "This is incredible," Alara murmured, stopping to touch a symbol. Her fingers tingled at the contact as though the ship recognized her touch. "This technology, it's not like anything we've ever seen. It's alive, in a way." Ryland shivered. "I don't like this. Something about this place. It doesn't feel safe." Mira didn't answer. Her eyes scanned the corridors, alert for any movement. They had already seen a shadow, something humanoid but not human. She didn't want another encounter, not yet. Hours passed as they moved deeper into the alien vessel. Each hallway led to another, twisting and turning, the lights pulsing in a slow, rhythmic beat. The hum of the ship grew louder, almost like a heartbeat. Then they reached a large chamber. The room was vast, with a floor that seemed to ripple beneath their feet. At the center floated a device unlike anything they had seen. A crystalline structure rotating slowly, pulsing with energy. The same glowing patterns from the orb in Part 1 radiated from it, sending streaks of light along the walls. "This is the source," Alara whispered. "Whatever sent the signal, it's this." Suddenly, a low metallic sound echoed through the chamber. The crew froze. Shadows shifted along the walls faster than any human could move. Something was approaching. A figure appeared, tall, slender, and featureless, its form shifting like liquid metal. The crew raised their weapons, but the figure didn't attack. Instead, it moved closer, its motions slow, deliberate, as though studying them. What is it?" Ryland stammered. Alara shook her head. "Not sure. But it's intelligent. It's communicating, somehow." The figure extended what looked like a hand or a limb, but instead of touching them, it released a wave of energy toward the crystalline device. The lights in the room brightened, and the patterns on the walls flared. The energy seemed to scan the crew, analyzing them, reading their intentions. Mira gritted her teeth. "We're not here to fight, but we need answers. Keep calm." The figure vanished suddenly, melting into the walls. The chamber fell silent. Only the pulsing crystalline structure remained, now glowing brighter than ever. Alara stepped forward, studying the device. This could help us. If we understand it, maybe we can repair our ship or even defend ourselves." Ryland looked uneasy. "And if it's a trap?" Mira sighed. "Then we'll deal with it. We don't have a choice. Either we learn, or we die out here." They worked carefully, examining the technology. Alara realized that the device responded to thought patterns, almost like it could read their minds. The crew shared information silently, understanding through gestures and glances. It was strange, unnerving, but slowly they began to decipher parts of it. Then the ship shuddered. A loud vibration ran through the corridors, making their ears ring. Lights flickered violently. Something was moving outside the chamber. Something massive. Reinforcements, Rylan whispered, panic creeping into his voice. They're here. Mira's eyes narrowed. We need to move now. Take what you can. Follow me. As they ran back through the twisting corridors, shadows darted at the edges of their vision. Doors slammed shut ahead of them. Strange noises echoed like whispers, some human, some not. The ship seemed alive, watching, testing them. They reached the docking bay, breathless, hearts racing. The Orion's Edge waited silently, tethered by the cable. Mira activated the thrusters. The ship groaned as it pulled away from the alien vessel. Once they were a safe distance away, Mira allowed herself a moment to breathe. We're alive, she said, though the words felt hollow. But this isn't over. Whatever that was, it knows we're here. And it's not done with us. Ilara looked at the glowing console, her eyes wide, and it might be trying to help us. I can't explain it, but something about the energy. It's like it wants us to survive. Rylan shook his head. Or it's just leading us into a trap. Mira stared at the alien ship shrinking behind them. One truth was clear. Humans were desperate, but humans never gave up. Even in the cold, dark void of space, even when the odds were impossible, humanity fought, and now more than ever, they would need to fight for survival, for knowledge, for hope. The Orion's Edge drifted through the endless blackness, carrying a crew tired, scared, but alive. The alien ship they had just left glowed faintly behind them like a distant heartbeat in the void. Mira Lawson sat in the command chair, her fingers drumming lightly on the console. They had escaped, but the questions lingered. Who or what had sent the signal? Was it a friend or a predator? Dr. Ilara leaned over the console, analyzing the data they had managed to download from the alien ship. It's incredible, she said quietly. This technology, it's beyond anything humans have ever built. If we can understand even part of it, we can repair our engines, strengthen our defenses, maybe even fight back. Rylan frowned, staring at the flickering lights on the panel. Or it could destroy us if we touch the wrong thing. We don't know what we're dealing with. Mira didn't answer immediately. She understood both fears. But humans had a habit of surviving impossible situations. That habit had brought them through wars, plagues, and disasters on Earth. And now, drifting lost in space, humanity's stubbornness would be tested again. They began experimenting cautiously. Ilara interfaced the alien device with the ship's systems. Lights blinked and hummed as energy flowed between the two technologies. Slowly, the Orion's Edge systems began to stabilize. Fuel efficiency improved. Life support readings steadied. Even the damaged thrusters responded better. Rylan leaned back, eyes wide. It's working. Somehow it's working. Ilara nodded, her face glowing in the soft light of the console. It's like it's helping us. It adapts to human thought. Maybe it wants us to survive, or maybe it just recognizes intelligence and responds. Mira's mind raced. Whatever it is, we need to learn fast. There's no time for mistakes. We've already survived too much to fail now. As the crew worked, tensions began to rise. Long hours in close quarters, stress and fear had frayed nerves. Arguments sparked over small things. Rylan snapped at a calculation. Ilara shot back with a sharp remark, and even Mira found herself losing patience. But in the shadows of conflict, a strange determination grew. Humans were flawed. Humans were scared. But humans never stopped fighting. That determination was tested sooner than expected. Sensors picked up movement in the distance, shapes darting through space, too fast, too deliberate to be natural. The readings confirmed their worst fear. Alien ships, unknown in number, were approaching. Rylan's hand shook as he stared at the screen. They found us. Mira's jaw tightened. We expected that, but we're not helpless. Use the alien tech. I want shields up, engines optimized, every system running at maximum efficiency. If they think we're weak, they'll be surprised. The crew worked frantically. Ilara interfaced more deeply with the alien device. Energy surged through the Orion's Edge, bright lights flashing as the ship adapted. Slowly, the vessel seemed to hum with life. It moved faster, reacted quicker, and the shields glowed with an unfamiliar energy, almost alive. Rylan stared at the console, disbelief in his eyes. It's like the ship knows what we want. Like it's alive. Mira didn't answer. She was already focused on the approaching ships. Shadows on the sensors grew. shapes twisting and shifting, clearly intelligent. These were not random patrols, they were hunters. The first attack came without warning. A bolt of energy streaked past the Orion's edge, slicing through the vacuum toward them. The crew ducked instinctively. Mira's hands flew over the controls, redirecting power to shields. A bright flash, a jolt that shook the ship, and the first shot was absorbed. Alara's face was pale, but her voice steady. The alien tech, it's protecting us. The shields adapted instantly. We can fight back. Ryland's eyes were wide. Fight back? We barely know what's out there. Mira gritted her teeth. Then we learn fast, we adapt. That's what humans do. The next few minutes were chaos. Alien ships darted in and out, firing relentlessly. But the Orion's edge moved like a single organism, shields glowing, engines pulsing with energy. Crew members worked in perfect coordination, guided by instinct, fear, and determination. Somewhere in the chaos, Mira realized something. Humans had survived because they didn't wait for hope. They created it. Even when everything seemed lost, even when the odds were impossible, they kept fighting. That spark, that refusal to give up, was humanity's greatest weapon. The alien ships began to retreat, confused by the sudden resistance. The Orion's edge pursued cautiously, weapons ready, energy surging through the vessel. The crew didn't cheer, they didn't have time. But in their eyes, in the tight lines of their faces, there was something new. Confidence. They had faced death in the void and survived. Mira leaned back, breathing hard, hands still on the controls. "This is just the beginning," she said. "They'll be back. But so will we. We're not helpless. We're human. And humans. Fight." Alara looked at the glowing alien device, her face lit with awe. "If we can understand it, we can change everything. We can survive. We can fight. We can win." Ryland finally allowed himself a small nod. "Then we'll keep moving. We'll keep fighting. Whatever comes next." The Orion's edge sailed onward, a small vessel in a vast dark sea of stars. But inside, a fire burned. The crew, human and determined, had found their spark. They would not surrender. They would not die quietly in the void. Somewhere out there, the aliens were regrouping. Somewhere out there, death awaited. But humans had one advantage the universe could never predict: their refusal to give up. And that refusal, that spark, was only beginning to shine. The Orion's edge glided silently through the darkness, engines humming with alien energy. The crew had survived the first attack, but Mira Lawson knew it was only a matter of time before the next strike came. Somewhere in the void, the alien forces were regrouping. They were predators, and humans had just shown they could fight back. That meant the hunt was far from over. "Captain," Ryland said, staring at the sensors, "they're coming back. Larger this time. At least 3 times the number of ships we saw before." Mira didn't flinch. "Good. Then we'll be ready. Prepare the alien tech. Shields at maximum, engines primed. Everyone brace yourselves. We're about to show them what humans can do." Dr. Alara worked frantically at the console, interfacing with the alien device. The ship pulsed with energy, responding to her thoughts. It was as if the vessel itself had learned to trust them. Lights flickered across the walls, energy coursing through the thrusters, shields glowing with an almost sentient brilliance. "Captain," Alara said, voice tight with urgency, "we can use the device to amplify the ship's weapons. But it's risky. Too much energy and it could overload." Mira clenched her jaw. "We don't have a choice. If we don't act now, we're dead." The first wave of alien ships appeared like shadows on the sensors, fast and deadly. They fired relentlessly. The Orion's edge moved with unnatural speed, shields flaring with each strike. Ryland piloted with precision, dodging blasts that could have torn the ship apart. Alara focused, hands flying over the console. Energy surged into the ship's weapons, converting pulses into beams of light that cut through the void. The alien ships were strong, but they had not anticipated the combination of human ingenuity and alien technology. One by one, the alien vessels faltered under the barrage. Shadows flickered on the edge of the viewport as the enemies retreated, regrouping. But the victory was temporary. Mira knew it, another wave was coming. "Prepare for the next attack," she ordered. "We can't let our guard down." As the crew worked, the ship shuddered violently. The alien energy readings spiked and an enormous vessel emerged from the darkness. A flagship, larger and deadlier than anything they had seen. Its hull was dark, almost liquid, pulsing with power. Ryland's hands trembled. That's massive. We don't stand a chance, Mira's eyes narrowed. We don't have to. We just have to survive long enough to strike. Humans fight smarter, not just stronger. We adapt. That's our edge. The flagship fired. A beam of energy lanced toward the Orion's edge, shaking the ship. Crew members braced, gripping consoles as alarms screamed. But Mira had a plan. Divert all power to the alien device. Use it to create a pulse. We'll blind their sensors long enough to strike the flagship's weak point. Alara's hands moved faster than ever, weaving the alien technology into the ship's systems. The Orion's edge hummed louder, energy crackling through the corridors. The pulse surged, a blinding wave that radiated outward, disorienting the attacking fleet. Ryland took the helm, steering the ship with precision. Now, Captain, fire! The ship's weapons discharged, beams of alien energy slicing through the flagship's hull. Explosions rocked the vessel. The alien fleet faltered, chaos spreading through their formation. Mira felt a surge of hope. Humanity was pushing back, defying the odds. But victory demanded a price. The alien flagship retaliated, firing a massive pulse directly at the Orion's edge. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew. The energy from the alien device surged uncontrollably, threatening to tear the vessel apart. "Brace for impact," Mira shouted. A blinding light filled the corridors. The crew held on, hearts racing. And then, silence. When the light faded, the ship floated in the void. Damage was severe, but they were alive. The alien fleet had retreated. The flagship had fled, battered but not destroyed. Ryland slumped in his seat, breathing hard. We made it." Alara wiped sweat from her brow, staring at the alien device. "That pulse, it nearly destroyed us. But it worked. We survived because we adapted, because we fought. That's human ingenuity." Mira looked around at her crew, exhausted, battered, but alive. "This isn't over. They'll come back. But so will we. Every time they strike, we learn. Every time they attack, we get stronger." A silence fell over the ship. They were alone in the void, surrounded by darkness and danger. And yet something had changed. The crew was no longer just surviving. They were fighting, determined to live, determined to win. Ryland finally spoke, voice soft but firm. "We can do this. We have to do this for us. For humanity," Mira nodded. "Yes, and when they come again, we'll be ready. We'll show them that humans never give up." The Orion's edge drifted onward, engines humming with alien energy, its crew stronger and wiser. Somewhere in the darkness, the alien forces watched, but the humans were no longer easy prey. They had adapted. They had survived. And humanity, in its stubborn, relentless way, was beginning to fight back like never before. And in the endless expanse of space, one truth burned brighter than any star. Humans, no matter the odds, never surrender. The void stretched endlessly, silent except for the hum of the Orion's edge. After their last battle, the crew had patched the worst of the damage, though the ship still bore scars from the alien attack. Mira Lawson walked slowly along the corridors, checking on her crew. Their faces were tired, marked by stress and sleepless nights, but there was a spark in their eyes, a spark that had been missing before. Dr. Alara stood over the alien device, studying its pulsing patterns. "We've learned so much," she said, voice tight with excitement. "This technology, it can do more than just defend the ship. We can increase our speed, our energy output, even communicate silently across distances. We're not just surviving anymore, we can fight back." Ryland shook his head, still amazed. "I never thought we'd see the day where we'd outrun their ships, much less hit back. But now we can." Mira smiled faintly. "That's human ingenuity. We adapt, we fight, and we don't stop." As they sailed through the black expanse, new signals appeared on the sensors, weak transmissions from distant human colonies and outposts. The war with the aliens had begun long before the Orion's edge had drifted into this sector. Entire fleets had been destroyed. Humans had been forced to scatter, hiding in uncharted space. But now hope was returning. "We can reach them," Mira said, pointing to the displays. "We can warn them. We can organize. Humanity doesn't have to fight alone." The crew nodded, determination settling in. For the first time, they felt like more than survivors. They were part of something bigger, a force that could push back. Suddenly, the sensors lit up. Another alien fleet approached, but this time the crew was ready. Mira's hands moved over the controls with calm precision. Engage the pulse shields. Prepare weapons. This time we attack, not just defend. The battle began like a storm. Alien ships darted forward, firing relentlessly, but the Orion's Edge moved with unmatched agility. Shields flared, energy crackling across the hull, and weapons discharged beams of alien energy that cut through the enemy. Alara's fingers flew over the alien device, pushing its limits. "We can overload their sensors. We can blind them. Do it!" Mira shouted. A pulse of light radiated outward from the ship, disorienting the alien fleet. Confusion spread among their ranks, and humans had the advantage for the first time. The Orion's Edge struck with precision, disabling several ships with calculated energy blasts. Rylan piloted through the chaos, weaving between explosions. "They didn't expect this," he said, excitement and fear mixing in his voice. "We're hitting them harder than they thought possible." But even in victory, the danger was real. One alien ship broke through the shields, ramming the hull. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the crew was thrown off balance. Mira's hands gripped the console. "Countermeasures. Redirect energy to the hull." The ship shuddered violently, but it held. Humans were resilient, and the alien device was their lifeline. Slowly, the tide turned. The alien fleet began to retreat, disorganized and uncertain. In the quiet after the chaos, Mira looked at her crew. "We've done more than survive. We've won a victory. But this is just the start. The aliens will come again, bigger, faster, stronger, and we have to be ready." Ilara glanced at the glowing alien device. "We're learning. Every fight makes us stronger. We can build alliances, help other humans. We can turn this war around," Rylan nodded. "We've already saved lives by reaching this far. Imagine what we could do with more ships, more people united." Mira's eyes narrowed, determination hardening her features. "We'll reach them. We'll organize. Humanity is not just a species to be hunted. We're survivors. We're fighters. And now we're a spark that can become a flame." As the Orion's Edge sailed onward, signals from distant human outposts grew stronger. They were receiving transmissions, responding, ready to join the fight. The crew of the ship had become a beacon of hope in a dark universe, proof that humans, even scattered and desperate, could rise above impossible odds. Rylan leaned back in his seat, exhausted but smiling. "We're actually doing it. We're showing them what humans can do." Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're showing them what humanity always does. Fights, adapts, survives, and never gives up. The universe underestimates us at its own peril." The stars outside stretched endlessly, dark and cold, but inside the ship, light pulsed with energy and life. Humanity had begun to fight back. The aliens had underestimated them once, and they would again. But the final battle was coming. Somewhere in the darkness, the largest alien fleet waited, ready to crush any resistance. And the humans of the Orion's Edge knew this. The war was far from over. Every victory was temporary, every second of peace fragile. Yet one thing remained undeniable. Humans would not surrender. Humans would not give in. And whatever awaited them in the void, they would face it head-on, together. And with every ounce of ingenuity, courage, and stubbornness that had defined their species since the beginning, the Orion's Edge surged forward, engines blazing with alien energy. The crew, tired but unbroken, prepared for what was to come. The universe had no idea how fierce humanity could be. And in the cold, endless darkness of space, that truth would shine brighter than any star. The void was silent, but Mira Lawson knew it was the calm before the storm. The sensors of the Orion's Edge detected the largest alien fleet they had ever seen. Shadows stretched endlessly across the star field. Hundreds of ships, sleek and deadly, moving with terrifying precision. This was the final battle, the moment that would decide the fate of humanity in this sector of space. The crew was tense but resolute. Rylan's hands flew over the controls, piloting with the precision born of countless battles. Dr. Ilara interfaced with the alien device, energy crackling through the ship as it hummed in response to her thoughts. The vessel seemed alive, as if it understood the stakes and shared the crew's determination. Mira stood in the command center, her eyes narrowing at the incoming fleet. "This is it," she said. "We fight not just to survive. We fight to prove that humanity cannot be crushed. Shields up, weapons ready, and remember, humans adapt, humans endure, humans win." The first volley struck. Alien beams lanced toward the Orion's Edge, shaking the ship violently. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and the crew held on tightly. The ship's alien-enhanced shields flared, absorbing the impact. Rylan gritted his teeth. They're stronger than anything we've faced before. Mira's voice was calm but firm. Then we'll be smarter than they expect. Humans always are. Ilara's hands flew over the console. If we synchronize the alien device with the ship's weapons, we can hit multiple targets at once. It's risky, but it could turn the tide. Mira nodded. Do it. Energy surged through the Orion's edge, brighter and more intense than ever. Beams of light tore through the darkness, striking alien ships simultaneously, crippling multiple vessels. The fleet faltered, unprepared for such coordinated attacks. But the flagship of the alien armada had been watching, waiting. It moved like a predator, faster and more powerful than any other ship. It fired a concentrated energy pulse directly at the Orion's edge. The vessel shook violently, alarms blaring, lights flickering. Mira's heart pounded, but she didn't falter. Rylan, evasive maneuvers now. Ilara, redirect all remaining energy to shields. The crew moved as one. The Orion's edge dodged, twisted, and surged forward, alien energy glowing along its hull. The pulse hit but only grazed them. The ship's systems had adapted, responding faster than the aliens expected. For a moment, silence fell. The fleet had stopped regrouping. Mira knew this pause was their chance. Weapons online. Fire in sequence. Every shot counts. Humanity is not backing down. One by one, alien ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The flagship retaliated, but the Orion's edge anticipated every move. Every tactic the aliens used, humans countered with adaptability and courage. Every setback was met with ingenuity and resilience. Rylan's voice was steady, focused. We're breaking through their formation. They're retreating. Ilara's face shone in the glow of the console. The alien device. It's amplifying our attacks. They underestimated us. Mira's heart surged. This was more than survival, it was triumph. Humanity, scattered and hunted, had risen. The crew worked together, their coordination perfect, their courage unyielding. The alien flagship wavered, then broke formation, retreating with what remained of its fleet. When the last alien ship disappeared into the void, silence returned. The Orion's edge floated among the stars, battered but intact. Crew members slumped into chairs, breathing hard, exhausted beyond words, but alive. Mira looked around at them, pride swelling in her chest. We did it, she said quietly. We didn't just survive. We fought, we won. Humanity has fought back. Ilara touched the alien device, now glowing softly. This ship, this technology, it helped us, but it wouldn't have mattered without us. Humans made the difference. We adapted, we learned, we never gave up. Rylan finally allowed himself a smile. We've changed everything. The colonies, the scattered humans, they'll hear about this. They'll fight back too. Mira nodded. Yes, this is just the beginning. Humanity has shown the universe that it cannot be ignored. Wherever life exists, wherever hope is possible, humans will rise. We endure, we fight, we survive. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the observation window. The darkness was still vast, still cold, still dangerous. But for the first time in years, humans were not fleeing. Humans were no longer hiding. They were standing together, unbroken. Mira placed her hand lightly on the console, feeling the hum of the alien device. It pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. She smiled. We've lost much, but we've gained more. Humanity has won. Not by strength alone, but by courage, by intelligence, and by refusing to give up. That's who we are. The crew gathered, looking out at the stars, knowing that their victory was hard-earned and fragile, yet the fire within them burned brighter than ever. Humanity had faced extinction and stared into the void, and now humanity had won. Somewhere, across the galaxy, humans would hear their story. And wherever they did, hope would spread. Because the universe had learned a truth it could not ignore. Humans fight. Humans endure. Humans prevail, and in the endless expanse of space, that spark, small, stubborn, unyielding, would continue to shine.